Don't touch my daughter! You don't get to tell me that. I'm calling security.
No!
Get away from her, you animal!
The little girl was hanging over the edge when the cameras turned. Noah Carter dropped the silver tray, lunged across the rooftop, and caught her by the waist just as her shoes slipped off the marble ledge. "Don't touch my daughter," Billionaire CEO Arabella Sterling snapped. But the child threw both arms around his neck, buried her face in his shoulder, and whispered, in a voice no one in that city had heard in almost a year, "Please don't let go." If stories like this hit you somewhere deep, subscribe, like the video, and stay with me to the end. Because this one doesn't just break your heart, it changes it. For 3 full seconds, the rooftop went silent. The violinists stopped playing. The donors froze with champagne halfway to their lips. Even the skyline behind them, all glass and light and money, felt suddenly far away. Arabella Sterling stood 5 feet from Noah in a silver gown that probably cost more than his truck. Her jaw was tight. Her eyes were the kind that made boardrooms collapse. She had built a billion-dollar empire before 40. Men twice her age stuttered when she looked at them. But none of that mattered, because her daughter was clinging to a stranger like he was the only safe place left in the world. Noah felt the little girl shaking against him. Not a tantrum. Terror. The kind that starts in the bones. "It's okay," he said softly. He didn't say it out loud. He signed it with one hand against her back. "I'm here. You're safe." The girl stiffened. Then she looked up at him like she'd seen a ghost. Arabella noticed. Her expression changed for half a second. Not softer. Worse. Afraid. Security rushed forward. Noah carefully set the girl back on her feet. She refused to release his hand. "Claire," Arabella said, kneeling now, her voice controlled. Too controlled. "Come here." The little girl's fingers tightened around Noah's. "No." That was the second word she had spoken in 10 months. And somehow it hit harder than the first. A murmur passed through the crowd. Phones lifted. Arabella stood slowly, every inch of her body rigid with humiliation. "Who are you?" "Noah Carter." "Why were you near my daughter?" He stared at her, exhausted already. "Because she was about to fall off your roof." A few people looked down. Nobody said a word. That silence helped him more than any argument could have. Arabella glanced at the cameras, then at the board members watching from behind her. Her cheeks barely changed color, but Noah saw it. She hated losing control in public, especially tonight, especially in front of people who profited when she looked weak. "Mr. Carter," she said, each word sharp enough to cut skin. "My team will speak with you before you leave." The girl tugged his sleeve. He looked down. Her eyes were wide, gray, and haunted. "I know you," she whispered. Noah's chest locked. He knew those eyes too. Not from tonight. From rain. From twisted metal. From a little girl in the back seat of a crushed SUV covered in broken glass and blood that wasn't hers. He had pulled her from a wreck on the North Bridge 11 months ago, and her father had died before the ambulance reached the hospital. Noah hadn't forgotten that night. Not because of the billionaire on the news. Because he had gone home after that shift and found his own wife's voicemail still sitting unheard on his phone. And 2 days later, she was dead too. By the time he got back to his apartment that night, Lucy was asleep on the couch with her school backpack still on. 8 years old. thin little arms. One sock missing. Cartoon bandage on her elbow. The TV was flickering with a volume so low it was basically a whisper. His daughter had started losing her hearing 6 months earlier. The doctors called it pressure from the tumor. Benign, they said, like that word made it kinder. Benign things still stole from people. He covered her with a blanket, but she woke anyway. "You're late," she said, rubbing one eye. "Big event." "Rich people?" He smiled. "The richest." Lucy sat up and studied his face. "Something happened." Kids always knew. Noah crouched in front of her and signed as he spoke, a habit they'd built together after the diagnosis started changing her world one sound at a time. A little girl almost got hurt. Lucy's hands moved back. "Did you save her?" "Yeah." "Was she scared?" He thought of Claire's fingers crushing his sleeve. "Yeah," he said again. "A lot." Lucy looked down for a second, then signed slowly. "Scared kids remember who holds them." That should have been the end of it. It wasn't. At 8 the next morning, a black car parked outside his building like it had taken a wrong turn into the real world. Noah was halfway through making Lucy's lunch when the knock came. The woman at the door introduced herself as Arabella Sterling's chief of staff and stepped inside like she already owned the place. "We'd like to offer you a temporary position," she said. Noah laughed once. "Doing what?" "Remaining close to Claire Sterling." His expression hardened. "She doesn't respond well to staff, or tutors, or security. Since last night, she's refused breakfast, school, and 3 separate child psychologists. She's asking for you." Lucy looked between them from the kitchen table. Noah folded his arms. "You mean the same mother who accused me in front of 200 people?" The chief of staff didn't blink. "Ms. Sterling is prepared to compensate you generously." He should have said no. But the word surgery was taped to his refrigerator under a bill he could not pay. Then the woman named the amount, and Noah stopped breathing for a second. It was enough to cover the hospital deposit, maybe more. 3 weeks, she added. Private driver, close protection, transitional support. Whatever title helps. Claire needs stability. Ms. Sterling needs discretion. Discretion. That almost made him laugh. Because discretion was exactly why he had been at that rooftop in the first place. Not to serve drinks. To get close enough to Arabella Sterling to ask why her company had buried the safety complaint that killed his wife. Noah had spent 11 months believing the Sterlings were untouchable. Now one of them was asking him into the house. By noon, he was standing inside a mansion so large it echoed. Claire was in the conservatory, sitting barefoot on the floor, drawing with a black pencil on expensive imported paper. She didn't look up when he entered. Arabella did. In daylight, she looked less like a magazine cover and more like somebody who hadn't slept since winter. "You understand," she said, "that this is temporary." "You understand," he replied, "that I don't care about your money. I care about my daughter's surgery." A flicker passed through her face. Good. Let her know he wasn't dazzled. He also noticed what wasn't in the room. No nannies, no father, no warmth. Claire kept drawing. Noah crouched a few feet away. "That's the bridge, isn't it?" The child froze. On the page was a dark river, a bent guardrail, and a car with one bright red streak across the driver's side. She looked up at him. Then she nodded. Arabella's voice sharpened. She never shows those to anyone. Noah didn't look away from Claire. She showed me. The room went still again. Claire reached for his hand. Arabella watched it happen with something close to pain. That afternoon, Noah learned the rules of the house. No sugar, no press, no mention of Daniel Sterling, Claire's father. No discussion of the accident. No one entered Claire's room after 9. And absolutely no physical familiarity beyond what was necessary. Arabella said that last part while staring straight at him. Noah almost said, "Your daughter decides that, not you." Instead, he nodded once. Then Claire ran down the hallway and hugged his leg. Arabella shut her eyes like the sight physically hurt. The days that followed should have stayed simple. They didn't. Claire started eating if Noah sat nearby. She started sleeping if he checked under the bed first. She started speaking in fragments, never to her mother, mostly to him. One word here, two there, mostly at night, mostly when she thought no one important was listening. And one evening, during a storm that rattled the glass walls of the house, Claire whispered the sentence that changed everything. "He opened Daddy's door." Noah stared at her. She was sitting cross-legged on the rug with Lucy on a video call, showing her a half-finished puzzle. "Who opened the door, Claire?" The little girl's hands started shaking. "Uncle Gabe." Noah felt cold all the way down his back. Gabriel Knox, Sterling Global's chief operating officer, Daniel Sterling's best friend, the man currently handling half the company while Arabella kept trying to survive the other half. Claire pressed both palms to her ears. "He was there," she whispered. "He was there before the crash." Noah went very still. He knew Gabriel Knox. Not personally, by signature. The internal documents Noah had managed to collect over the past year, the buried maintenance complaints, the ignored safety warnings, the chain of approvals that ended with ambulances using defective emergency hardware, had one name on them more than any other. G. Knox. He had told himself Arabella signed things she didn't care enough to read. But Gabriel? Gabriel had touched all of it. And now Claire was saying he had been at the bridge before her father died. That night, Noah didn't sleep. At 2 a.m, he found Arabella in the kitchen in bare feet, standing in the dark with a glass of water she hadn't touched. "She still won't tell me what she tells you," she said without turning around. "No." "Do you enjoy that?" He frowned. "Enjoy what?" "Being the person my daughter trusts instead of me." That landed harder than she meant it to. Because underneath the steel, she didn't sound angry. She sounded ashamed. Noah leaned against the counter. "You want the truth?" She looked at him then. He saw the exhaustion in full. The fear. The guilt. The loneliness that money couldn't buy its way out of. "You don't scare her," he said. "You scare yourself. And kids can feel that." Arabella's throat moved. "I lost my husband in front of her." "I know." Her eyes narrowed. "How?" "Because I was there." He almost said it. Instead, "I recognized her from the accident report." That was a lie, and both of them felt it. She took one step closer. "Everyone in my life wants something from me, Mr. Carter. My board wants control. The press wants my grief. The men around me want access. So if you're hiding something, tell me now." Before he could answer, the kitchen doors opened. Gabriel Knox walked in smiling. He was handsome in the polished, expensive way that made people trust him too quickly. Mid-40s, perfect suit. Voice warm enough to feel fake. "There you are," he said to Arabella. "I've been looking everywhere." Then he saw Noah, and for the smallest second, that smile lost its balance. "Ah," Gabriel said. "The hero." Noah held his gaze. Gabriel turned to Arabella. "You really hired him?" "Claire asked for him." Gabriel nodded like he understood, but his eyes were on Noah now. Sharp, measuring, dangerous. A few days later, at a charity luncheon, Noah finally saw how the sterling world killed people without touching them. A socialite asked Arabella, in front of cameras, whether Claire's attachment issue with the hired help was a normal stage of trauma. Another laughed and said, "Children are funny. They always choose the one person they're told not to." Arabella smiled the brittle smile of powerful women who knew breaking down would be used against them for years. Noah, standing behind Claire's chair, felt her go rigid. Then Gabriel leaned toward the microphones and said, "Let's not make a spectacle of a child's grief." Like he wasn't the one enjoying it most. That should have protected Claire. Instead, the cameras zoomed in harder. Claire's breathing broke. Noah crouched beside her. "Look at me." She did. He signed. "You're here, not there. Breathe with me." Her shoulders slowly fell. But one of the cameras kept flashing, and one reporter whispered, "Who is he to them, exactly?" The questions spread like fire. By nightfall, there were blogs calling Noah the mystery man in Arabella Sterling's home. By morning, there were photos of Lucy walking out of school. That was when Noah realized this wasn't a job anymore. It was a target. Gabriel cornered him in the underground garage before sunrise. No cameras, no smile. "Let's stop pretending," Gabriel said. Noah said nothing. Gabriel slid a thick envelope across the hood of a black car. "Enough for your daughter's surgery. Plus a house if you're smart. You leave today. No dramatic goodbyes. No stories." Noah stared at the envelope. "What do you get?" Gabriel's face stayed calm. "Stability. Claire is fragile. Arabella is vulnerable. Men like you confuse a wounded house with an open door." "And men like you?" Gabriel stepped closer. "Men like me built the doors." Noah looked him dead in the eye. "Claire said you were there the night her father died." For the first time, Gabriel's expression changed. Not to fear, to contempt. She was 6 years old and covered in blood. "So you were there?" Gabriel smiled again, and it was uglier now. "You have a sick daughter, Noah. Don't turn yourself into a dead father trying to prove something nobody powerful wants proven." Then he walked away. Noah stood alone with the envelope in front of him. Lucy's surgery deposit. Claire's truth. His wife's grave. All of it sitting on the same sheet of cold metal. He took the money, just to feel its weight. That night he hated himself for it. Lucy was in her hospital gown for pre-op testing when she noticed something was wrong. "You look like you swallowed thunder," she said. Noah forced a smile. "I'm okay." She signed with irritated little hands. Bad liar. He laughed once, then sat beside her bed. "Lou, if you had to choose between doing the right thing and keeping the person you love safe..." She interrupted him, with total child certainty. "Do both." "It's not always that easy." "It should be." Then, more softly, she signed, Mom used to say scared people make mean choices and call them necessary. That cracked something in him, because it sounded exactly like her. His wife had been a public school music teacher. Sharp tongue, big laugh, no patience for cowards. She had died in an emergency transfer after a faulty oxygen system failed in transit. Sterling Global buried the warning 3 months before it happened. Noah had spent a year chasing names. And now he was standing in the house of the woman he'd blamed, while her daughter reached for him like a lifeline. It would have been easier if Arabella had actually been cruel. But she wasn't. She was damaged. And that was worse. The breaking point came on a Thursday. Claire handed Noah a stuffed rabbit from her room and whispered, "Daddy said keep it hidden." Inside the seam was a memory card. Noah checked it in his truck. On it was a voice recording dated the night Daniel Sterling died. Rain hammered the windshield in the background. Daniel's voice was tense. "If anything happens to me, Arabella, it was Gabriel. He found the audit. He knows I'm taking everything to the board tomorrow. The ambulance contracts, the bribery, the falsified safety reports." Then a loud bang. Then Daniel, breathing hard. He cut the brakes. The audio ended in screeching metal. Noah sat in absolute silence. This was it. Murder. Fraud. The proof that could bury Gabriel and expose the chain that killed Noah's wife. He went straight to Arabella. He should have gotten there faster. Because Gabriel got there first. When Noah entered the study, Arabella was standing behind her desk with the envelope of cash in one hand and Noah's file in the other. Not the employment file, the investigation file. Every document he'd collected, every letter he'd sent, every record connecting Sterling negligence to his wife's death. Her face looked bloodless. "You came into my house because of this?" she asked. Noah stopped. "Arabella, no." Her voice snapped like glass. "My daughter trusted you." "I never meant to use Claire." "But you did." Gabriel stood near the window, silent, wounded-looking, performing innocence so well it made Noah want to put his fist through the wall. Arabella lifted the envelope. "He says you took money to leave." Noah looked at Gabriel then. There it was, the trap. "I took it," Noah said. "I didn't spend it." Arabella gave a short, shattered laugh. "How generous." Claire appeared in the doorway before anyone noticed. Small, pale, listening. "Mom?" she said. Arabella turned too late. Claire looked from the envelope to Noah to Gabriel. Then she stepped backward like the room itself had betrayed her. "Claire," Noah started. She ran. Arabella went after her. Noah tried to follow, but security was already on him. By the time he got free, Claire was gone from the East Wing, gone from the gardens, gone from the cameras between 412 and 419 because somebody had looped the feed. Gabriel put on a perfect performance of concern. Noah saw the truth immediately. "She didn't run from the house," he said. "She was taken." Arabella looked at him with red eyes and raw hatred. "Why would I believe a word you say?" He pulled the memory card from his pocket and held it out. "Because your husband died trying to warn you." Everything changed after that. Arabella listened to the recording once, then again. By the second time, her hands were shaking so badly she couldn't hit stop. When it ended, she stared at Noah like the floor had disappeared beneath her. "I left him 22 unanswered calls that night," she whispered. "He kept texting that he was bringing me something important. I thought he was drunk. I thought. Her voice broke, and she pressed a fist to her mouth. Oh, God. Noah looked toward the security monitors. Claire told me Gabriel was there. Arabella's grief vanished under something colder. He has her. They found the clue in Claire's room. A fresh drawing. Dark water. Bent guardrail. One little figure standing beneath the old North Bridge. The same bridge where Daniel died. The same bridge where Noah had pulled Claire from the wreck. The same bridge no 6-year-old child would draw unless she thought someone important was waiting there. By the time Noah's truck tore onto the wet service road below the bridge, his phone was ringing. Hospital. Lucy's surgery team. He looked at the screen. Looked at the river. Looked at Arabella beside him, white-faced and praying under her breath. Then he declined the call. He would hate himself for that for the rest of his life if he was too late on either side. Under the bridge, Gabriel stood near the rusted maintenance stairs with Claire in one arm. She was crying, kicking, trying to twist away. There you are, Gabriel called over the rain. The grieving widower and the widow CEO. How poetic. Arabella stepped forward. Let her go. Gabriel laughed. You still don't understand. Daniel was weak. He wanted to confess everything, blow up the company, hand billions to lawyers and victims and regulators, all for conscience. Conscience is expensive. Claire screamed, You hurt Daddy! Gabriel's grip tightened. Noah moved without thinking. Gabriel saw it and shoved Claire aside just as he pulled a gun. Arabella screamed. The shot cracked against steel. Noah slammed Gabriel into the staircase. The gun skidded across concrete. They went down hard. Years of grief hit differently than anger. Noah didn't fight like a rich man. He fought like a husband who had buried too much. Gabriel got one brutal punch into Noah's ribs and another into his jaw, but Noah kept coming. Arabella ran to Claire and threw herself over her. Then Gabriel reached for the gun again. Claire saw it first. Noah! Noah turned, dove, and took the bullet through his shoulder before Gabriel could aim at Arabella. Pain lit up his whole body, but he still tackled Gabriel straight into the edge rail. The rotten metal gave way. For one insane second, they both slipped. Gabriel clawed for balance. Noah grabbed him on reflex. Really grabbed him. Held him there over black water. Gabriel stared up, panicked now, human now, pathetic now. Don't, Gabriel gasped. Don't do this. Noah's arm shook. He thought of Lucy. He thought of his wife. He thought of Daniel gasping in a ruined car. Then he thought of Claire watching. And he pulled Gabriel back up onto the concrete. Police sirens exploded in the distance. No, Noah said, coughing through blood and rain. You live with it. The arrest happened in flashes of red and blue. The recording. The gun. The hidden audits Arabella ordered uploaded to every major outlet before anyone could bury them again. By dawn, Sterling Global was on every screen in the country. Murder, fraud, corporate cover-up, victims, names, photos. And standing on the courthouse steps, with a bandaged shoulder and eyes that looked 10 years older, Arabella Sterling did the one thing no one expected from a billionaire. She told the truth. She named Gabriel. She named the corrupt contracts. She named the families who had been silenced with settlements and legal threats. And then she said Noah Carter's wife's name out loud. Not as collateral. Not as a statistic. As a human being. The public humiliation Gabriel once used on others came back for him 10 times harder. Investors abandoned him. Reporters tore him apart. Men who laughed at funerals suddenly couldn't find him worth defending. But none of that mattered to Noah until he got to the hospital. Lucy was awake. The surgery had been delayed by 2 hours because Arabella, without asking permission, had called every surgeon, administrator, and specialist her money could reach until nobody dared move without helping. Noah stood in the doorway, pale and ashamed. "I missed it," he said. Lucy looked at the sling on his arm, then at the bruises on his face, then back at him. "You saved her." He swallowed. "Yeah." Lucy nodded like that explained everything. "Good." Tears hit him before he could hide them. "She needed her dad," Lucy whispered. He went to her bedside and bent carefully, and she wrapped her arms around his neck. "Mom would have been mad if you didn't go," she murmured. That was the sentence that finally broke him. Not the bullet, not the bridge, not the year of rage. That. Weeks passed. Claire started speaking again, little by little. First to Noah, then to Lucy. Finally, one rainy afternoon in the conservatory, to her mother. Arabella cried so hard she had to sit on the floor. The empire she rebuilt looked nothing like the one she inherited. Compensation funds, open investigations, every contract exposed. She named the victim's foundation after Noah's wife. He argued. She ignored him. Some things, she said, were not charity. They were debt. And on the first clear evening after Lucy came home, Noah stood outside the hospital with one arm still stiff and one heart still healing, when he heard small shoes slapping the pavement behind him. Claire ran straight into his arms. This time, Arabella didn't stop her. She just stood there in the soft gold of sunset, watching her daughter hold on to the man she once warned away like he was danger itself. Then Claire looked back at her mother and said, "You can too." Arabella laughed through tears. Noah looked at her. Really looked at the woman who had survived betrayal, buried love, carried power like armor, and still found the courage to tell the truth when it cost her everything. Slowly, carefully, she stepped closer. Not into his arms, not yet, but close enough to say, "I was wrong about you." Noah glanced down at Claire, then over at Lucy waiting by the car, then back at Arabella. "No," he said quietly. "You were scared." The wind moved through the trees. The city kept rushing around them. But for one still second, none of it mattered. Because sometimes the arms we're warned to fear are the same arms that pull us out of the fire. And sometimes the people who arrive looking like trouble are the only ones brave enough to carry us home.